Today, I'm gonna show you how easy it is to pretend that you're a polyglot in order to impress your friends, women, or YouTube. And later in this video, I'll be showing off my fake skills in multiple different languages that I don't actually speak, including a new variant of Chinese never heard before. But first of all, my legal birth name is Language Simp, and I am a real polyglot who is very attractive to every woman and man on the planet. I've spent the last 4 years of my life absolutely obsessing over languages with the goal of one day becoming the best language learner in the world. The Magnus Carlsen or Kylian Mbappe of languages. But unfortunately, I've recently noticed a rapid increase in the number of complaints about fake polyglots or people who lie about speaking multiple languages in order to gain fame or even worse, to accumulate banknotes. But how hard is it to convincingly fake speaking multiple languages on such an open and global platform like YouTube? As a self-diagnosed investigative language journalist, I'm gonna find out today. I'm gonna become a fake polyglot. But I can't fake being a polyglot if I'm already a polyglot. So first, I need to do the unspeakable and unholy, depraved act of reverting to monolingualism. I need to forget every language I've ever studied, but I know what you're thinking. How can a hyperpolyglot GigaChad alpha male like me go back to being the monolingual beta he once was? I had no idea, but after brainstorming for 40 hours straight with no success, I finally had a eureka moment. I'm an American. I was born to be monolingual. It should come as no surprise to you that 80% of Americans are monolingual. I was one of them, and there was even a time that I thought Africa was a country. So maybe if I go back to my roots and do the most American thing possible, I'll forget all my languages and lose any knowledge of the outside world. So I bought some McDonald's and drove my gas-guzzling car on an extremely wide highway all the way to the biggest parking lot I could find, and I had a feast. It's working! It's working! Блин, я все еще говорю по-русски. Turns out, it's very difficult to forget how to speak a language. So if I can't become monolingual again, the next best thing I can do is go undercover and LARP as a monolingual. I am no longer Language Simp. I am Joe Linguistico. I'm from Florida, I've been divorced twice, and my children don't speak to me anymore. But how many languages does Joe Linguistico need to speak in order to be accepted as a polyglot? I decided to look that up on the internet, and according to Bing, there doesn't seem to be an official definition of the word polyglot. Maybe that's a big part of the problem. Luckily, there is a place on the internet where you can find authoritative information that is rarely incorrect on any subject. Reddit. And Redditors tend to say that a polyglot is someone who speaks more than 3 languages. But Joe Linguistico doesn't just want to be a polyglot, I want to be a hyperpolyglot. So I looked up how many languages a person has to speak to be a hyperpolyglot. Luckily, this handsome fellow from Pakistan, Usman Chauhan, in addition to having a name that rhymes, is also the president of the International Association of Hyperpolyglots. And to get into this exclusive club, you have to send them video evidence that you can speak 6 languages fluently. So my new goal is to use this video to get Joe Linguistico into the International Association of Hyperpolyglots. So what languages am I gonna pretend to speak for my audition video? They need to be easy to pronounce and not very widely spoken so that less people will be able to call me out for being a fraud. I just need to sound competent enough that people who don't know the language will assume that I'm fluent. So my first language will be Italian. It's got easy pronunciation, and I don't think most Italians speak American, so no one can publicly call me out on my BS. My second language will be Swedish. I used to have a Viking beard, so it should come naturally to me. The Swedes won't have time to roast me in the comments because they'll be too busy arguing with the Danes and Norwegians. My third language will be Bulgarian. Out of the Slavic languages, Bulgarian is probably the easiest to pronounce, and it doesn't have annoying cases like all the other ones. Language number 4 will be Swahili because even though the grammar is complex, it should be easy to pronounce. Also, I'll get bonus points for being a clueless white man shocking locals. Speaking of shocking locals, my 5th language will be Chinese because this wouldn't be a polyglot YouTube video without Chinese. I'll absolutely butcher the tones, but who cares? And in case all of that goes poorly, I'll save the show with my 6th language, which will be Latin. So now it's time to begin practicing these languages to prepare for my audition. And by practicing, I mean typing some sentences into Google Translate. And then we'll put them on this magic SpongeBob looking ass thing called a teleprompter. And if anyone accuses me of reading a teleprompter because they see my eyes moving, I'll accuse them of making fun of my very real eye problem, which would not be cool. Now it's time to finally demonstrate my skills.
Ciao a tutti e benvenuti, mi chiamo Joe Linguistico e oggi parlerò fluentemente 6 lingue. Jag gillar att lära mig många olika språk. Det är min favorithobby. Jag gillar köttbullar. Говоря и bulgarski. Bulgarskiat e najkrasiviat slavianski język. Mnogo sim umen. Pia nilijifunza Kiswahili kwa sababu shangazi yangu anatoka Kenya na kupenda kaka. 我是世界上最优秀的非中文母语人士，每个人都嫉妒我。Novissima lingua didici latinum est, hoc didici loqui omnibus mortui.
What do you think? Remember, I never even practiced that, and I was reading a teleprompter. On top of that, those were very simple and awkwardly pronounced sentences, but I think that went amazingly.
One day later.
So the following day, I emailed the International Association of Hyperpolyglots and I attached my audition video along with the following message. Hello, I am a hyperpolyglot GigaChad alpha male. Please ignore my eyes. I am not reading a teleprompter in this video. I pinky promise. Fingers crossed behind my back. Thank you, Joe Linguistico. And to my surprise, I received a response in 6 minutes. Bro, you're the GigaChad of languages. How could a group of betas like the International Association of Hyperpolyglots deserve someone as alpha as you? I swear I didn't tell them to say that. But you know what that means, right? They recognized me. My perfect disguise of Joe Linguistico didn't work. So instead of being a loser, I decided to accept that my cover was blown and I just went for it. Does that mean I'm in the club? And they hit me with the classic not yet and told me they'll reach out to me to assess my eligibility. But notice how they still referred to me as Joe in the email. That means Joe Linguistico still has a chance. But was my video not enough? Was the evidence of my talents not overwhelming? Maybe they needed some testimonials from natives for each of the languages, so I sent them this. In case you think I am capping, here are some people who can vouch for me. And I attached the following video.
I'm an Italian, and Joe speaks perfect Italian.
As someone from Denmark, I think that Joe has amazing Swedish.
I am a Bulgarian, and I can confidently say that Joe speaks fluent Bulgarian.
Now, I've taken a few lessons on Swahili's Duolingo course, and I can say without a shadow of a doubt, this man is speaking perfect Swahili.
I'm Chinese, and I can say confidently that Joe speaks fluent Chinese.
But unfortunately, at the time of me filming this, it's been 14 hours since I sent my testimonials and still no response. Which hurts me considering they responded in 6 minutes the first time. But I think I know why they're not replying. I bet they thought that my Chinese was too dog water or bad to enter the club. I probably butchered every tone. So I started brainstorming. How can I make my Chinese sound good enough to impress Usman Chohan in order to join the club? Maybe if I speed up my Chinese, it will sound good because they won't have sufficient time to analyze the tones. No, that just sounds like Animal Crossing. But then I had the best idea that anyone has ever had since the Soviets decided to send the first man, Yuri Gagarin, into outer space. Since Chinese is a tonal language and I used the wrong tones, I could theoretically auto-tune my Chinese so that each tone sounds perfect. I could be the Yuri Gagarin of auto-tune Chinese. So I sent the clip of me to the best audio engineer I know, and here are the results after he added auto-tune. 我是这个想最会说中文的人. Wow, that was beautiful! But before I send it to the elite Hyperpolyglot club, I sent it over to a native Chinese speaker to check my work.
This sounds very bad. I can't even understand it.
I fell into a deep, dark, and lonely depression. My dreams of getting known fraudster Joe Linguistico into the secret Hyperpolyglot club were shattered. But then I realized, I'm not Joe Linguistico, I'm Language Simp. I have almost 10 million subscribers on YouTube. I'll make my own club of Hyperpolyglots. But I can't for the life of me think of a name for the club, so if you have an idea for a name, please let me know in the comments. Also, leave a comment in 4 different languages to apply to become a founding member. So in conclusion, I was not able to impress the prestigious Hyperpolyglot Association. But in general, it is easy to fake being a polyglot on the internet. Just memorize a few phrases, exaggerate an accent, and make a bunch of cuts in the video if you need to. However, why gatekeep the hobby? Let's just have fun with languages, and if someone wants to call themselves a polyglot, let's not take it too seriously. And to be honest, most of the polyglots on YouTube that people roast for not being fluent in every language they study don't even claim to be fluent in them in the first place. So yeah, I can't believe I'm almost at 1 million subs. Thank you. Spasibo большое. Arrivederci.